Hey Rockhounds, mid-January, actually towards the end of January now. Haven't been rockhounding for a while. Definitely got cabin fever. Nothing I'd sooner do than go rockhounding. In fact, I had a trip planned for yesterday, even though it is nasty weather out. Jeff and I were going to head up and look for some quartz, but the weather turned real bad and Jeff had cut his finger kind of badly, so we kind of postponed until maybe family day for another attempt at rockhounding in the winter. Been pretty busy. I've been working on a stained glass project. I'm a stained glass fanatic when I'm not doing rockhounding and other things, making videos, whatever. Big huge window for the living room. Took me 210 hours, I calculate. I mean, we've also got a new rockhound addition to the family, Oscar. Real bad puppy. We're working on him though. He's pretty clever, learns real quick, does all sorts of crazy stuff. But anyway, without further ado, here's the video. This was done earlier in the year and I just hadn't actually put it out. I saved it for a time just like now. We're going looking for flora apatite. Why do we want to melt the plastic ring, man? I hate the smell of burning plastic.
Oh, I love the smell of burning.
You're a sicko.
We had some shingles.
Yeah, shingles. Some old tires, eh? Do the old Belfast routine. Burn a couple of tires. So this morning, Jeff and I are heading for the Comet Mine. We're looking for, what is it?
Blue apatite.
Blue apatite. There we go, through the lovely, beautiful Gatineau Hills. So flora apatite, or what you'd call calcium fluorophosphate. Beautiful mineral. Apatite overall, very soft when you facet it. It has this sort of almost a resinous luster. Colorless in its purest of forms, but otherwise a very varied palette of color. One of my favorites, if it wasn't so soft, comes from the Greek word apatine, or to deceive. Because of its many different colors, it can be mistaken for quite a wide range of different minerals. It also has a pleochroism. In other words, it looks to be a different color from different directions. This is particular to the blue apatite, more so than the others. You can use a dichroscope, and I do have a dichroscope here. Little handy dichroscope. They're very small, but what you see when you're looking through the dichroscope, I can see two squares, and when you're looking at light that passes through a mineral or a crystal that then enters the dichroscope, these two squares, if the mineral or the crystal is pleochroic, you will see two different colors within the two squares. So in the case of the blue apatite, it's likely to be sort of an off yellow, a pale yellow, and colorless or blue. That tells you, it gives you a hint as to the fact that it is indeed a pleochroic mineral. Just off the 366, we're heading to the Comet Mine here. Packing light, we've already filled the car with minerals. A little bit of a hike up the side of a hill here. This is obviously what we're looking at for this mine. Probably an old mica prospect. There's your blue apatite. Supposedly diopside here as well. Have a look around. So this extensive construction of a track going up and over the top of the hill says the mine's probably just over the top, especially with all this spilled debris down, you know, that diopside and apatite and what have you. The tracks all lead to a deep furrow on top of the hillside, and looks like there's another track going up to, there's probably a sorting area. Don't want to stumble out of there when you're drunk at night. Here's where it'll put you. Very silvery tan, mica, maybe phlogopite. Look at that. So you got your typical pink calcite with the prisms within it, the apatite prisms. Should also find titinite here. So this stuff is more of a sea green sort of color, bluish green, whereas if you consider the McGlashan mine, it's a very lovely sort of a baby blue color to the apatite. This calcite is pretty friable, so it's quite easy to find some nice prisms within the calcite and even extract them. So this is obviously what they were going for. You got the mica. It seems to vary, like some of this mica is a really pale sort of beige color, others quite a bit darker. I still go with phlogopite for now. But again, I'm having a lot more luck just kind of combing around on the hills where they just pushed all the rubble and debris back. So this you've just really got to wonder about. I've just turned over this slab of calcite and it's got these divots in it. And do they ever look like scalloping that you would see inside a cave? So this is smooth. It's not a break. So there must have been a cavity within the calcite while they were mining it, and obviously in the bottom of the cavity all of the crystals will fall. Very interesting. So by all of the square cross sections that you can see here, this is a pyroxenite mineral. See the 90-degree edges or something close to that. Something quite unique to this mine, to the Comet Mine here, that I don't typically see is the apatite is actually, it changes color with the length of the prism. It's going from a sort of dark, sort of charcoaly color to the apple green. A little more of the multicolored prisms. Got a kind of a nice mica and diopside in a calcite matrix here. I may keep this one, just it's a nice thing to put on the shelf. And so based on this discovery of the calcite that had that sort of water-worn mark in it, basically from running waters, what you would suggest if you were looking at limestone, I'm wondering if this whole crevice here, this whole area that's been dug in, was possibly a calcite seam, and down the middle of it was running water. And then again, if it was indeed all a calcite seam, no doubt the bottom, if you were to dig deep at the very lowest end, would probably reveal a bed of calcite with apatite, titinite and diopside along the edges. So that little path goes up to what appears to be a shack up on the top of the edge of the mine. That's going down, obviously taking the ore out to market. I would imagine this is probably a dump where they were just dumping stuff over the edge. Could well be a really good spot to look for minerals. Yeah, just kind of the steppe nature here of the terrain would suggest that it took consecutive times of dumping here. Probably the older stuff at the furthest end, the newer stuff up here. So the question is, at what point was it clearing overburden, and at what point were they tapping into the actual mineral-rich fissures that we're hoping to look at? Oh, I can only imagine the ore cart going down this hillside. I wouldn't doubt it's turned over more than once, and it'll be dumping debris down that gully. Oh yeah, that's a beautiful one, man.
A little crude, but it's all there.
Nice, quite transparent too.
That's got a really nice termination on it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It does.